The Parrot by Thomas Campbell, 1777 to 1844. A parrot from the Spanish main, full young and early caged, came o'er with bright wings to the bleak domain of Mullan shore. To spicy groves where he had won his plumage of resplendent hue, his native fruits and skies and sun, he bade adieu. For these he changed the smoke of turf, a heathery land and misty sky, and turned on rocks and raging surf his golden eye. But petted in our climate cold, he lived and chattered many a day, until with age from green and gold his wings grew grey. At last, when blind and seeming dumb, he scolded, laughed, and spoke no more, a Spanish stranger chanced to come to Mullan shore. He hailed the bird in Spanish speech. The bird in Spanish speech replied, flapped round the cage with joyous screech, dropped down and died. So this is a poem by Thomas Campbell. Thomas Campbell was a Scottish poet. His father was a laird. A laird is a clan chieftain, although he was this was the end of the Scottish clans, I think from the 1745 rebellion. His father was the laird of Kinnan. Let's see, Thomas Campbell was one of the driving founders of London University and or University College London as it later became. He was also a founder of the Clarence Club, a literary gentleman's club in Mayfair. So, what's this poem about? Well, this poem is about a parrot, and this parrot has spent its life pining to go home. This parrot has come from South America, and it's been brought to, I think it's been brought to Scotland, and this parrot has lived in a cage all its life in the cold Scottish climate, and he spent there many years, and finally when the parrot is very old, a Spaniard comes, and the Spaniard speaks to the parrot in Spanish, and the parrot feels wonderful, and the parrot speaks back to him in Spanish, and then the parrot dies. And I almost get the feeling this is, I think it's talking about slavery, but I think also it's talking about justice for animals as well. Let's see, Thomas Campbell was clearly an abolitionist of slavery for the United States, and I think here the parrot is almost a parallel of the slave, and and also though I think this is the very beginning of animal rights, because the parrot is clearly very sad. It's missed its homeland all its life. So a parrot from the Spanish Main. The Spanish Main is Latin America. This is either Central America or Colombia or perhaps not Brazil, that would be the Portuguese Main, but from Latin America. So a parrot from the Spanish Main, full young and early cage came o'er, with bright wings to the bleak domain of Mullan's shore. So this parrot was put in a cage when it was very young, and it had come from Latin America, and it went to the bleak, the sunless, cold lands of Mullan. We don't know who Mullan is, but I guess that Mullan is going to be somewhere in. It's someone who lives in Scotland. It's a person. To spicy groves where he had won, his plumage of resplendent hue, his native fruits and skies and sun, he bade adieu. So he bade adieu, he said goodbye to the spicy groves of trees where he had gained his beautiful plumage, his native fruits, his native skies, the native warm lands. And he was taken away from all of this. For these he changed the smoke of turf, a heathery land and misty sky. So he exchanged his warm homeland was exchanged for turf smoke. Turf is a slice of the surface of grass that has been dried, or maybe it could be peat as well, and that people used this in the Scottish Highlands and in Ireland to heat their homes. A heathery land and misty sky, so it's a land of heather and mist. He turned on rocks and raging surf his golden eye. So the golden eye of the parrot, what he could see were the rocks and the raging surf and this cold misty land. But petted in our climate cold, he lived and chattered many a day. So he lived as a pet in our cold climate for a very long time, and he chattered and he talked until with age from green and gold his wings grew grey, and he lived there all his life, and eventually he becomes old and grey. At last, when blind and seeming dumb, he scolded, laughed and spoke no more. So finally the parrot gets really old, and he's not laughing and he's not making his noises and speaking anymore. A Spanish stranger chanced to come to Mullan's shore, and suddenly one day a Spaniard came there. He hailed the bird in Spanish speech. He talked to the bird in Spanish. The bird in Spanish speech replied, so the bird talked back to him. Flapped round the cage with joyous screech, dropped down and died. So the bird answered him in Spanish and flapped in its cage and screeched with happiness, and then it died, poor thing. And this is showing that the bird has been pining for its homeland all its life. And I think there is a parallel here to slaves being taken from Africa and sent to the United States to work as slaves, and this is something that it is the same thing that has happened to the parrot, and the parrot has missed his home, his home all of his life. So, The Parrot by Thomas Campbell.